Good evening, everyone, once again. Let's start. The second chapter we have here is work energy and power. So, first, we will be discussing with the definition of work. Okay, so how do we do work? Okay, so
Applying force
yeah, who is that?
by applying force.
By applying force. Okay, very good. So, in order to do work, you need to apply force. Generally, whenever you apply force on an object, two things might happen. Either the object get displaced or it get crushed. In technical aspect, both of them are doing work. But right now, we are not dealing with the second work. Okay, we are mostly dealing with the displacement part. So if we apply force on an object and the object get displaced, we said that we have done work on the object. Okay. Suppose I am standing against this wall and I am trying to push this wall. Okay. Do you think the wall will move from its place? No. So if the wall doesn't move from its place, we are actually doing no work on the wall. Correct? Okay, so work is only done when we are when there is a displacement in the object. If there is no displacement in the object, no matter how much force you apply, work will not be done. Okay, so therefore we can just say quickly, work is said to be done when a force applied on an object produces displacement. Is that fine? So if you apply force on an object and the object displaces from its mean position, from its original position, then we can say that there is work done. Okay. So if you want to say factors affecting force, work done, there's just two of them. One is the the force applied and the displacement. Okay. See, one day I was just
Say
walking.
doubt, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
So if an object falls from a, like around 20, so if an object falls from 20 to is the work done?
Yeah, the work is done because,
Okay.
but I think your question is not complete. Who is applying the force here?
Gravity basically.
So I can say gravity is doing work on the object.
Okay.
Okay. So the factors on which force work done depends upon is just two things. One is the magnitude of the force. And the second factor here is the displacement produced in the object. All right. So therefore, force depends only on two things. It is how big the force is and what is the displacement produced by the object. Correct? Now, just a very small random question. Suppose there is a guy who is trying to fill air in his cycle. Okay. By using a pump. Now this guy is trying to apply, like there's a boy A who is slowly filling the air inside, and there's another boy B who's trying to just jump on this pump and try to fill it faster. Okay. So I think this boy B who is applying more force is still displacing the same amount of air inside, while guy A who is slowly filling it is applying. Okay, so this is filling slowly and he is doing rapidly, like fast. Who is doing more work here?
B.
B is doing more work. But it looks like
BB.
that they are,
Both are doing the same work.
it looks like both are doing the same work. It is not the same. Okay. It is because the one who is applying more force, though the displacement is same, just because his force is faster, is doing more work. Are you getting the point? This is small example here. Okay. Suppose one other example is there. One guy is trying to lift a bucket using a rope, standing at some height. He's doing it rapidly. Okay, so A is doing it rapidly. He's applying greater force. He's trying to pull it faster. What about B? B is pulling it slowly. Who is doing more work here?
A.
Okay. See, in some way, this A is actually correct. So what you're saying is right. But here we need to understand, see, rapidly, here we just need to understand one small thing, which we will be covering up in the later part of this chapter when we do gravitational potential energy. I'll explain you a bit. Like there's a small conceptual understanding which needs to be done, which is a bit beyond our syllabus. But to be very clear, like to be more accurate, A is certainly doing more work because he's applying more force for the same displacement. Okay, we'll not try to confuse that situation later. So when we come there, we'll just see it. So as we discussed earlier, force depends on work depends on two things. What is the magnitude of force applied? And the second thing is what is the displacement of the object? Okay. So therefore, the formula for work done is force multiplied with displacement. Okay. And what is the SI unit for force? I think that's Newton, right? And what is SI unit for displacement? Newton meter. So this is 1 Newton meter. Okay. This 1 Newton meter is also called as 1 dyne. Oh, sorry, 1 joule. So this is the SI unit of work done. There's also a CGS unit, which is dyne. Which is dynes centimeter, correct? So that's erg. We can use anyone as per the requirement. Mostly while doing the question, we'll be using Newton meter or joule, but we can also use erg. A more important question here is, what is the relation between the two? Like, how many joules or how many erg makes a dyne?
Ten to the power 5.
Who is that?
Gagan Kane.
Gagan. Gagan, can you explain me why is it 10 to the power 5? It is not 10 to the power 5 though. It is 10 to the power 7.
Okay, sir.
You know why is it 10 to the power 7?
No, sir.
Okay, no problem. Now here I will like to discuss a bit about Newton meter or joule. Okay, Gagan, is this joule a fundamental unit or derived unit?
Sir, it's a derived unit.
It is a derived unit. So 1 joule is equal, you can just participate with me during this discussion. So 1 joule is equals to 1 Newton meter, is right? Can you further write this Newton into its SI units or in terms of fundamental unit? What I'm trying to do here is write joule as in terms of its fundamental units. So 1 joule is 1 Newton meter, and 1 Newton is how much? Like, I want to further write Newton in terms of fundamental.
It's 10 to the power 5 dyne.
No, that I have by hearted. I want to write Newton in terms of kg, meter, and second. So how to write Newton in terms of kg, meter, and second?
No idea, sir.
Okay, let me just recall few things. What is the unit of acceleration?
H rho G.
No, unit of acceleration. Okay, what is the unit of displacement?
S.
No, unit. Like, how do you measure displacement?
Meters.
Meters. What is the unit of velocity?
Meter per second.
Meter per second. What is the unit of acceleration?
Meters
kgf.
Meter per second?
square.
Meter per second square.
Yeah.
Okay. How much is force? Force is mass into
Acceleration. Yeah. F is equal to ma.
ma, correct. So you know all this thing, right?
Yeah. Yes,
What is
sir.
the unit for mass?
Kg.
And what is the unit for acceleration?
Meters per second. Kilograms per meter second.
Kg meter per second square.
Yeah.
So isn't this unit for force?
Yes, sir.
So isn't this equal to 1 Newton?
Yeah.
So 1 Newton is kg meter
Meters
per second square.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
into meter. Okay,
Yeah.
that will give us joule. So can I
Hmm.
say this is kg meter square per second square?
Yeah.
Who did not understand this part, what I just described or explained?
Sir, it's so easy to calculate.
It's so easy to calculate. You should not buy hard. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So 1 joule, if you get confused, you remember joule is force into meter. Okay, and force is Newton meter. So Newton is, if you forget Newton, remember Newton is mass into acceleration. So
Hmm.
mass is kg, acceleration is meter per second square.
Yeah, yeah.
Now these will be important. Daksh will be doing this derivation in some other chapters also. So please try to understand this. So 1 joule is 1 kg meter square per second square. Okay, so that's 1 joule. Okay, 1 kg meter square per second square. Erg is a CGS unit of work. So in the fundamental unit, we will convert all the SI unit into CGS form. So
ERG.
okay, yeah. So what is the CGS unit of kg or mass?
Dyne. Dyne.
No. For kg, what is the CGS?
Excuse me, sir.
Grams. Grams.
Yeah. Yeah, just tell me. And what about,
Can you repeat? I just lost connection. Can you repeat one, please?
you try observing this, what is going on.
Okay, fine,
I'll
sir.
repeat it after the class. Like after this, I finish this explanation. Sorry, not after the class. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this is mass is kg. In CGS, it is gram, right?
Yeah.
Then
Meter, centimeter.
it is centimeter.
Yeah. Second square.
Okay, does everyone understand this? This is 1 erg. And this is 1 joule.
Sir, this CGS system is also important.
It's not important, like, see, I cannot say like that. Everything is important. You should understand. The thing is, in exam, you will get only this question. 1 joule is equals to how many erg? You can by heart this and go, but there's a possibility you'll forget it in the exam. So I'm just telling you a method by which you can recollect it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. To be very honest, in your exam, if something comes, it will just say 1 joule is how many erg. But that is not a right thing to teach on the part of the teacher, to be very honest. On the part of the teacher should not make you by heart this. The teacher should always tell you why it is. So I'm just trying to do my responsibility here. Okay. At the end of the class, if you can just remember this 10 to the power 7, that is more than enough. Okay. Shrut says he does not understand. Okay. Okay, see, what I'm trying to tell here is 1 joule is equals to, Arist, you are there? You just listen carefully what I'm trying to explain. Once again, I'm just repeating quickly. 1 joule is equals to 1 Newton meter because it is force into displacement. But Newton is mass into acceleration. Okay, Newton is for force, force is mass into acceleration. So it is kg meter per second square, kg meter per second square. That multiplied with this meter. So I've converted 1 joule into the fundamental units. All right. So I've just tried converting joule into its fundamental units. So 1 joule is 1 kg meter square per second square. That is what I copied here, 1 kg meter square per second square. Okay. 1 erg is 1 gram centimeter square per second square. I've just written the CGS form of all these units. For kg, it is gram. For meter, it is centimeter. And for second, it is second. Is this thing clear now? Good. Arist, you understood? Yeah. Now, I want to find a relation between the two. So all I will do is I will start with 1 joule. Okay, if I forget this thing directly, I write 1 joule. I write it as 1 kg meter square per second square. All right. Then 1 kg is 1000 gram. This is 100 centimeters square. Correct? 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So it is 100 centimeters square into per second square. Is that fine? So I've converted kilogram into grams and meter into centimeter. Right. So this is nothing but like 1000 gram. See, this is 100 centimeters whole square, which is like 100 centimeter into 100 centimeter into per second square. Now I'll take all these zeros in front. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 10 to the power 7. Then I'll write the remaining things: gram, centimeter, square, per second square. That is 10 to the power 7 dyne. Is that fine? I hope that is clear. It see, actually, your question is really tough, Susrat. You're saying like, am I taking a right name? Okay. I hope you're worried about, is this derivation important? I think you must understand physical like relation between a SI unit and CGS unit this way, because there are a lot of relation which is in the syllabus, and if we make a habit of doing like this, it will be easier. Otherwise, there is a possibility of getting confused. I cannot say particularly if this question might come like this: derive the relation between gram, joules, and dyne. Because mostly in your both paper, I've seen just them asking you the relation. It might come in some of the school papers, but board is mostly interested in this number. Okay. So if at the end of this, if you just want to remember this, that is also fine. Okay. Okay. So see, once again, suppose if we are doing work is the product of force and the displacement. Now here I am just trying to be more specific. It's the displacement in the
Excuse me, sir. 1 joule is 10 to the power 7 dyne centimeter or erg, sir. Dyne is just another CGS unit for force, right?
I'm correct, ma'am. It's erg. I mentioned it earlier. I'm sorry. I just
Sorry for the intrusion, sir, but then I got confused.
no, sorry. It's fine. You can keep object like pointing it out. That's the benefit.
I got confused. That's why. Sorry, sir.
No, it's good, ma'am. That's the benefit of being of another teacher in the classroom.
Okay, sir.
So, kids, I'm really sorry. This is erg. This is not dyne, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, 1 joule is 10 to the power 7 erg. Okay. So work is force multiplied with displacement in the direction of force. Okay. Now suppose we have a object. So there are two derivations given in your textbook. And I just try to do it quickly. Suppose this object is going along an incline. And this is theta. The incline has an angle of theta. Suppose we are applying a force F on this object, pushing it against in the horizontal direction. And this thing starts skidding in the upward direction until there is a displacement of S units. Okay. So what is the work done in this case? Okay, this is our objective here. Now, as we can see very clearly, we are applying force in the horizontal direction while the object is moving along the incline. So the direction of displacement of object is not same as the direction of force applied. There is some inclination, there is some angle between the force and the displacement. I hope that is clear to everyone. Okay. So in this case, we say work done is equals to force into displacement multiplied with cos theta. Okay. Where theta is the angle between force and displacement. As again in this case, there is no derivation very clearly given. The derivation part is not very clearly required, but I believe I will take another 5 minutes quickly to explain you why is it like this. So suppose we are applying some force in this direction, okay? That's the horizontal direction. And the displacement is along the incline. This is the displacement. Fine. Let me quickly complete a right angle triangle. This angle of the incline is theta. Okay. So if an object is moving along this incline till the top, I could say that there are two displacements related with this object. One is a horizontal displacement and one is a vertical displacement. Is that fine? So there are two displacements related with this displacement. Okay. So I can say when an object is moving from here to here, I would say it has moved a bit in the horizontal direction and this much in the vertical direction. So there are two displacements related with this object. I hope that is clear to everyone. Okay, so I'm just calling this as S horizontal for now, and this as S vertical. Learning a bit of trigonometry, we know that cos theta is equals to base by hypotenuse. Correct? But base is the horizontal displacement and the hypotenuse is the actual displacement. So can I say horizontal displacement is the actual displacement multiplied with cos theta? Is that fine? Okay. So since I was applying force in the horizontal direction, work done is nothing but the force multiplied with the displacement in the direction of force applied. Okay, if you look at the direction of the force applied, which is the horizontal direction, we need to only consider the horizontal displacement, SH, correct? Therefore, I can say in this case, work done is equals to force multiplied with horizontal displacement. But horizontal displacement is nothing but S cos theta. The original displacement multiplied with theta. Fine. So this is Fs cos theta. What do you mean by that, Ishan? Why not vertically? Why are we not taking the vertical displacement? Okay, I understood your problem. The definition of force says it is force multiplied with displacement in the direction of force. Among horizontal displacement and vertical displacement, which is in the direction of force applied? Is it the horizontal one or the vertical one? Which is in the direction of force applied?
Horizontal.
Horizontal.
Therefore, we are taking the horizontal displacement.
Yes, sir.
Understood? Okay.
Yes, sir.
We are not taking the vertical displacement because that is not in the direction of force applied. Correct. So I hope this part is really clear to everyone. Okay. There's another way of explaining the same thing, but whichever way you understand it is more than enough. Like, you don't really need, this derivation is not very important. There's another way of looking at this also. Suppose there is an object here. And I am trying to apply some force on this object. Okay. Like, for example, this is a wall and this is an object, and you try to push it in this direction. Correct. So you are applying force on this object in this direction, in an inclined direction. It is as good as applying two different forces on the object, one in against the wall and one along the wall. Correct? Or suppose there is an object and you are pulling it with a string in an inclined position. You are trying to apply two different forces on this object. Like, it is as good as saying that you are trying to apply two different forces on the object, one in the vertical direction and one in the horizontal direction. All right. So whenever you apply force on this object, you are actually applying two forces on this object, one along the incline and one perpendicular to the incline. So the displacement of the object is only along the incline. Correct? So of these two forces, the forces, let's say F1 and F2. Okay. We are only considering the F2 force. I don't understand what does that mean. Why are we not using Pythagoras theorem? Can you explain your question properly? What is the...
Yeah, so you were telling that taking S into cos theta, you were telling that way. So now if we know the angle theta and if we know one side, then we can find the other side and then we can find the hypotenuse. So then we can just say force into displacement is equal to work done.
First you tell me what are you talking about? Which situation?
This situation, sir, the one you're showing on the screen.
This one, right? You're saying why don't we find this using Pythagoras theorem? In order to know Pythagoras theorem, you need two sides of a right angle triangle. Do you have two sides of a right angle triangle here?
So if we have one side and we have one angle, then you can find them, right? Using
That is called as
trigonometry.
trigonometry, Aris. That is not Pythagoras theorem.
No, no, so मैं बोल रहा था, like if we take cos theta, sorry, no, yeah,
That is
if we take tan theta and then solve.
That is trigonometry.
Okay, fine, sir.
Okay, don't confuse yourself. I think you're just trying to deliberately confuse yourself.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, so, okay, if we are applying some force on this object, okay, in the horizontal direction, we can say that we are trying to apply two forces on the object. One is along the incline and one is one is perpendicular to the incline. Okay, even here, see, again, I'm not going in too much detail to confuse you, but if you try to find this component of force, this will be equal to the actual force into cos theta. Okay, so work done will become equal to F cos theta into displacement. Okay, so this is F cos theta into displacement. So just to summarize what we did in the previous two cases is, here what I did is I found out the component of displacement in the direction of force and multiplied that component with the force. I hope that part is clear to everyone. In this case, we calculated the component of force in the direction of displacement and multiplied it with the displacement. So either you multiply force in the direction of displacement with the displacement, that is what I did here, or you multiply displacement in the direction of the force with the force, which I did it here, you are getting the same final value, which is Fs cos theta. So I hope this thing is clear to everyone. Work done is equals to force multiplied with displacement multiplied with the direction, cos of the direction between force and displacement. Does anyone has doubt with that? Is that fine? Everyone is understood? Good. Okay. So what are the conditions for work done to be zero on application of force? So why do we say, what is the condition for work done to be zero on application of force? So you are applying some force and still there is no work. One thing is the displacement should be zero, like there should be no displacement. So the example when a boy is trying to push a wall. So if you push this wall and the wall is not moving, there's no work done. So I'll say displacement is zero. Okay. What if the angle between the force and displacement is 90 degree? I'll try to explain you this with an example, but let us see this. Work done is force into displacement multiplied with cos of theta. But in trigonometry, we have studied cos of 90 is 0 degree, right? So I can say this is 0. Okay. There's one example given in your textbook also. When a coolie walks on a horizontal ground while carrying a load on his head, no work done is against the force of gravity because the displacement of load is normal to the direction of force applied. So if suppose this coolie is holding some weight on his head and is moving in the horizontal direction. Okay. So is he doing any work on this object against gravity? Okay. See, he might be pushing it forward along with him when he is moving forward. He is applying some force to balance that weight, but is there any displacement in the direction of force applied? So here, to be very clear, work done by coolie against force of gravity is 0. Okay. Let me take another example here. Let me see who helps me with this one. A body is moving in a circular path. Okay. A body is moving in a circular path. Is there any work done by the centripetal force? Pradipta says no. Adya says no. Lot of you say no. Like I want one of you. Anmol, can you tell me why is it no? Anmol has changed his answer. No. Anmol says yes. Why do you think yes, Anmol? Okay. Can anyone explain me why in the circular motion work done is 0? Vijay Prajwal says displacement is 0. I am impressed. How many of you think Vijay Prajwal is right? He says in a circular motion displacement is 0.
Yes, sir, because it comes back to the same position where it starts.
Okay. Who thinks Prajwal? Many of you think he is right. Good. Achha, someone just said like he is right because anyone like to explain me like see a lot of people are seconding you, Vijay Prajwal. Can you tell me? Can you explain your answer to me? I want you to speak up and just tell your answer so that we can just have a small argument here. Daksh says it's a rotational motion, it's not a linear motion. Okay. I want to have one small, like whoever thinks, Ishan Arya has a more interesting answer here. Okay. So see, one thing I like you to understand here is like when an object is in a circular motion, work done is always 0. But that doesn't mean that it has to reach back to its mean position. Even if the object is somewhere here in like it's moving and it has reached somewhere here, It started from here and it reached somewhere here. Acha, that time can I say work done is 0? Okay. So when I simply say a body in a circular motion, I did not say it complete a circle. Okay. Please understand this very clearly. If the question was like this, a body completes one complete circle. Okay, a body completes one complete circle. And what is the work done in this full one complete rotation? Then it is another story. Fine. But I'm just saying a body is in a circular motion. Ishan Arya has a very correct answer here. I am impressed. So, see, please everyone understand this. Circular motion doesn't mean it has completed one circle or two circles. It is in a constant circular motion. And when a body is moving in a constant circular motion, there's one force, the centripetal force is always acting along the normal. So if the object is towards the normal, if the object body is here, it is moving towards the normal. If the body is here, it's moving towards the normal. While the displacement is always in the tangential direction. So if you look at any instance, the direction between the displacement and the centripetal force is always 90. Is that right? So Ishan said very correctly. I'm very happy about that. So I expected someone to tell the correct answer.
So can you repeat the answer?
Ishan, can you repeat the answer for everyone? Ishan, can you hear us?
So,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Explain.
So,
Right.
force is, no, displacement at an instant is like 90 degree to the centripetal force.
Okay. See, he's just trying to say that if you take any instant, okay, during this journey or the circular motion, at any instant, the force is always directed towards the center, while the displacement is along the tangent. At any instant in this motion, the body is trying to move in the direction of the tangent, while the force is acting towards the center. So at any instant, the angle between the displacement and the force is 90 degree. Is that fine? Therefore, we say this is a work done is 0 at any instant. So work done is 0 because force into displacement into cos 90, this cos 90 is 0. So this is 0. I hope that is clear to everyone. Still someone has a doubt, you can ask me. So if someone asks you why your body in a circular motion, the work done is 0 due to centripetal force, please don't say that in circular motion displacement is 0. You might clearly lose marks there. The correct reason is, as explained by Ishan, is the centripetal force is perpendicular to the direction of displacement at any instant. And that is the most correct answer. Okay. So either there is no displacement of the object or the angle between force and displacement is equal to 90. These are the two conditions when the work done will be 0 due to a force on any body. What if force is acting in a direction negative opposite to the work done? Let me take one example. Okay. Okay, what if the force acting on an object is opposite to the displacement? Suppose we are pitching a ball up in the sky. So we are just throwing a ball up. The ball is continuously going up while gravity is slowing it down and trying to pull it towards its direction.
It comes down fast back.
No, first when it is going up. When it comes down, there is a different story. It is trying to go up and the gravity is trying to pull it down, right? So, correct. The gravity first slows it down. That's correct. So, whenever an object is going in one direction and the force is acting in the opposite direction, the force will always try to slow down the object. And here work done is always negative. So let's say, what is the direction, like work here will be force into displacement into cos of 180 degree, because the angle between force and displacement is 180 degree. And this is not in your syllabus this year, but cos of 180 degree is -1. So it is minus times force into displacement. So work done is negative. Okay. Though I've seen this derivation in your textbook, so I feel like just telling you. But for your simple understanding, if you remember, this much also is fine. If the force is acting in a direction opposite to the displacement, then work done is negative. Okay. So, see, that was your first part about the definitions of work. We already saw some unit of work earlier. I'll just list it down quickly. It's 1 joule in this SI unit and 1 erg in the CGS unit. You have other units of work also, like kilojoule, megajoule. That all can be understood by basic definition. 1 kilojoule is 1000 joules. 1 megajoule is 10 to the power 6 joules. Millijoule, it's a smaller unit of work. Okay, it is 10 to the power minus 3 joule. We can have microjoule, 10 to the power minus 6 joule. I think these are something you're familiar with. Moving further, the next thing we have in this chapter is power. Power is nothing but rate of doing work. Okay. So power is therefore defined as work done per unit time. Unit for work is 1 joule and unit for time is seconds. So this is nothing but joules per second, which is called as watt. So SI unit for power is watt. Okay. I think suppose we have to push this object from this place to this place. two people will try to push it together. Okay. A and B. Or A and B is doing the same amount of work on this object to push it forward. But okay, let me take a simple example here. This is okay. Suppose there is a machine. One machine can manufacture 10 products in 5 seconds. The other machine can produce 10 products in 50 seconds. In producing 10 products, both of them are doing the same amount of work. So work is same. But I think the one who does it faster is a more powerful machine, right? Okay. So see, this is just for a very simple understanding. You must not get confused between power and joule. A lot of time I think students getting confused between power and work. Power means the rate at which you can deliver the work. Work is the total amount of quantity of work you do. Okay. Sometimes we see there's an old labor working in some house who is carrying bricks. He's slowly lifting bricks from one floor to the other. Okay. Whole day. And there's a fast guy who does that same work in 1 hour. Both of them did the same amount of work, but the faster guy is more powerful. Correct? So that is how you must have a very clear understanding of power. Power is not related with work. Okay. So what are the different units of power? We have watt as the SI unit of power. We have kilowatt, which is 1000 watt. You have megawatt, ten to the power 6 watt, and even smaller units of watt. One of the unit of watt, which is horsepower, is a bit important for you because I have seen this being asked in the papers a lot of time. So you just have to remember this. The value is 0.746 kilowatt, or 1 horsepower is 746 kilowatt. So as far as the unit is concerned, this is like, I think this one relation is really important. So I'll just mark it as important. It might come for 1 mark in your objective section. So just do go through it.
Sir, that's 746 watt, no sir?
Yeah, correct. 746 watt or 0.746 kilowatt. This is a unit of power which is largely used in mechanical workshops or mechanical factories to measure the capacity or the power of any machine. Okay, I think that is more than enough in this section here. Then the next thing is energy. Energy is a capacity of body to do work. It's a capacity to do work. Okay, suppose you had a lot of food today. You recharged your body is energized. So you have some energy stored inside your body. Tomorrow when you're going to do work, you are going to use that same stored energy to do work. But energy is just stored inside your body and we cannot see it. While work is what we can actually see happening. Okay. Though energy and work has the same SI unit joule, but this is a capacity which is stored inside a body, while work is what we actually get, what we can see getting delivered. Okay. So a body energy is just a capacity of a body to do work. Okay. So even for energy, the SI unit is joules, which is same as work. The CGS unit is erg again. There is one more unit here, which is called as watt hour. Correct. Kilowatt hour. Now, both of these are unit of energy used for measuring current electricity. Okay. So if you have seen the meter reading coming to your house every month at the end of the month or at the beginning of every month, the electricity guy comes and gives you a unit that you have consumed 100 unit or a 200 unit in this particular month. That unit reading which you get is nothing but in kilowatt hour. Okay. So these are commercial unit for measuring current energy. Correct? Though we are going to discuss about this even further in the electricity chapter, since we have just mentioned it, let us quickly get a relation, what it means. Suppose there is an electricity power. So if an electricity is delivered to your house at a power rating of 1 kilowatt, okay. So you have an electric connection in your house which is coming at a rate of 1 kilowatt, correct? Or maybe we'll just say this watt. So if you have an electricity connection at your house and the power rating of that electricity connection is 1 watt, that means that electric connection delivers 1 joules of energy every second. Correct. So if you're consuming 1 watt of power every second, and then you keep doing this for 1 hour, then the electricity consumed will be 1 watt hour. I hope I made myself clear there. Okay, I'm not going to go anywhere in detail about the current electricity right now because that is that we have a separate chapter on that. So just think like electricity is also a form of energy. So since any other energy is measured in terms of joules, even current electricity, okay, can be measured in joules. Okay, so the energy delivered to your house in form of current can also be measured in joules. So if you are using, like if you're using 1 joule of energy every second, or your appliance is using 1 joule of energy every second, that means you are using 1 watt power every second, or you are using 1 watt power, not second. And if you keep doing this for next 1 hour, then the total power consumed in that 1 hour is 1 watt hour. Is that fine? Similarly, if you're consuming an electricity at a rate of 1000 watt, okay, which is 1 kilowatt, or 1000 joules every second, and you keep doing this for 1 hour, then in 1 hour you'll be consuming 1 kilowatt hour of energy. Is that fine? So
Sir, I have one question.
yeah, please tell me.
So how much watts of energy is produced in a power plant?
Which power plant you're talking about?
Like any hydropower or anything?
Like an approximate value you're telling?
Yeah.
There'll be like a very high megawatts of power is generated. Okay, so like the exact value, if you talk in power terms, just 1 second.
Kush, not in this chapter, man.
So what, bro? TK, bro.
May I know your name, please?
Kushwen.
Not ask.
Kush,
Kushvardhan.
Kushvardhan.
Kush.
Govardhan. Govardhan.
Excuse me, sir, if you don't mind me interrupting. I think it's 11 kV generally. And then it's upgraded to 132 kV before transmission.
That is correct, ma'am. I hope you have got your answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So okay, I just wanted to be very sure with the numbers here. So it's about 11 kV before transmission, and then okay. See, these are the things we have in this first exercise. Before moving on to the next exercise, in the second exercise, we mainly have okay. So these are the important units of energy. Did we miss a few? There's okay. Also calorie. This is all full theoretical. You need to just remember the values in here. So 1 calorie is. First person, can you help me with this? What is 1 calorie? Can you tell me the definition?
A form of energy.
Okay, how much is 1 calorie?
Don't know, sir.
Okay. 1 calorie is the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So calorie is generally a unit of, we generally measure heat energy in calorie. So if you want to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by approximately 1 degree Celsius, the energy required for that process is called as 1 calorie. So 1 calorie here is 4.2 joules. Okay. We also have other units of energy like electron volt, and 1 electron volt is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules. Now see, it's quite relevant to discuss more about these units in the respective chapters. So in the first chapter, they have, like in this chapter, they have only given you the relation. Okay. So it will be much better if I go in detail about this, explaining this 1 electron volt when we are doing current electricity. So I hope this part is clear to everyone. Okay. There is one object which is being pulled upwards with a force of 15 Newton along this incline through a distance of 5 meters. Okay. Now the force of 50 Newton is required to pull up a body of mass 2 kg. The mass of this object is 2 kg. Now calculate the work done in pulling the object. Okay, who's helping me with this problem? Quickly.
Sir, can I try?
VV Lakshmi?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Sorry,
No problem, sir.
yeah, tell me.
So, work is equals to like force into displacement, sir.
Work is force into displacement.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then?
Like force applied is 15 Newton
Okay.
and displacement is like 5 meter.
Okay.
It's like
75 Newton meter.
75 joule. Works as saying.
75 Newton meters, sir.
So that's 75 Newton meter. Why are we not taking the angle in consideration here? See, 75 Newton meter is 75 joules. But why did we not use the formula F into D into cos theta? So if you observe this carefully, this force was acting in the direction of the displacement. I did not say in this particular problem that force is acting in the horizontal direction, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Is that fine?
Yes,
See,
sir.
in physics, we will not be just simply learning the formula and trying to get the result. We should also observe this situation very carefully. Here, as I have drawn here, the force is applied in the direction of the displacement. Force is 50 Newton and displacement is 5 meter, right?
Yes, sir.
The second question is, what is the work, the force due to gravity on the body? Or what is the gravitational force acting on this body? You can take G value as 9.8 meter per second square.
So mass is of like 2 kgs. Like mass in force is equal to mass into gravitation.
So force due to gravity is mass into gravity, correct? So m into g.
Yes, sir.
That is nothing but the weight, so m into g. Mass is 2 kg and acceleration due to gravity is 9.8 meter per second square. So that is 19.6 kg meter per second square, which is nothing but 19.6 Newton, correct?
Yes, sir.
The third part of the question says, what is the work done against the force of gravity? So in the previous situation, what is the work done against force of gravity?
No idea, sir.
Picture down here. Okay, what is the direction in which gravity is applying its force? Downward? Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And you are trying to pull it, like if you're, so if we are saying what is the work done against the direction of gravity? See, in this object, object is going along the incline. So there is some displacement in the horizontal direction and some displacement in the vertical direction. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This displacement is against gravity. This displacement is not against gravity. So they are just saying, when they say what is the work done against gravity, you are mostly interested in the work done in moving the object in vertical direction, not in the horizontal direction. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
So we need to concentrate on understanding what is the work done on object in moving it against the gravity or in the vertical direction. So if you are moving it against gravity, weight is 19.6 Newton. So we must be applying equal and opposite force in the opposite direction. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So what is the force against gravity? So we need to multiply force against gravity with the displacement in the vertical direction. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
So if I just draw this diagram a bit properly, this is the total displacement, which is 5 meters, which can be splitted into horizontal and vertical displacement. Correct?
Yes, sir.
This is horizontal displacement. So if I just multiply force against gravity is 19.6 Newton with the vertical displacement, this vertical displacement, correct?
Yes.
We will be able to get work done against gravity. But what is the vertical displacement here? Now, in order to find vertical displacement, I should use trigonometry again.
Yes, sir.
Opposite by hypotenuse. Opposite by hypotenuse
Sine.
is sine theta.
Yes, sir.
And how much is theta here?
30 degree.
So it's sine 30 degree. Okay, how much is sine 30?
So it's 1 by 2.
1 by 2. Multiplied with 5.
5 by 2.
5 by 2, that is 2.5 meters.
Yes, sir.
So if I multiply the force against gravity with the displacement in the direction of that, in the vertical displacement, we will get work done against gravity. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
So how much is this? If you multiply this,
You get 49 Newton meters, sir.
you get 49 Newton meter, which is nothing but 49 joules.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so did you understand this part?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so at times in physics, they'll be asking you a lot of application-based questions. So see, I like that the theories which we did earlier is just to help you understand and be very clear with it. But we have to mostly expect more of application-based question in our exam. Very few theory-based question came, and if you go by this year's question paper, they have really focused a lot on conceptual understanding of concept. Correct? There is one question like this. A boy of mass 40 kg. So there's a guy of mass 40 kg. Climbs of 30 steps. There are a total of 30 steps. This boy has mass 40 kg. And each of these steps thickness is same as 20 centimeter. And this process takes, okay, so this boy takes a time of 2 minutes. So a boy is climbing up the steps. There are 30 steps. Each step is 20 centimeter high. And to do this, it takes him some 2 minutes. Similarly, there is a girl who is trying to attempt the same thing. Her weight is 30 kg. So mass of boy is 40 kg and mass of girl is 30 kg. And this girl takes 1.5 minutes. Now you need to calculate the work done ratio, like what is the ratio of their work done. So compare their work done and compare the power. Who is helping me out with this problem? Okay, all of you can see the questions clearly? Okay, who is helping me out with this problem? No one. Ishan, Arya, will you help me out with this problem? Shall we-
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's try.
Yes, sir. So mass is equal to 40 kg. So work is equal to mass into G. Force is equal to mass into G.
Work is force into displacement.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Force is equal to
force is equals to
40 into G, 9.8.
mass into gravity. So see, let us understand very clearly. You are trying to say this object is trying to go up. So if you
Yes,
have to lift your body up, how much force you must apply on your body? I think equal to your weight.
Yes, sir.
Okay, at least equal to your weight, then only you can move it upwards. Okay, because gravity is pulling you down, and if you want to go up, you must apply force equal to your weight, then only you can pull it out upwards. That is the minimum required. Correct. So this boy is
Yes, sir.
moving up and is applying a force of equal to its weight on itself. This multiplied with the total displacement,
H.
h. Okay, let's say this full height is h. Okay. So work, this is the definition of work. So let me try write it for boy. Work done by boy. We'll abbreviate it like this, WB. This is how much?
mgh.
Mass of boy into gravity into height. Correct.
Yes, sir.
The total height of the steps. What is
30 into 20.
okay? What is work done by the girl?
Mass of girl into g into h.
Mass of girl into G into H.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is G same for both of them? I think that is obviously same. What about height? Even that is same for both of them?
Yes, sir.
Even this is same for both of them. So I'm interested in finding the ratio of work done by boy to work done by girl.
girl.
So can I just write it down like this? Mass of boy into girl into height, into gravity into height, and mass
Yes,
of
sir.
girl into gravity into height. Right?
Yes,
Is
sir.
G will get cancelled and H will get cancelled. So the ratio of work is nothing but the ratio of their mass.
Mass.
I can just
40 by 30.
values,
4 by 3. 4 is to 3.
which is 4:3. Correct.
Yes, sir.
What is power applied by boy?
Work by time.
Work by time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So work is again 40 kg into G into H
Yes, sir.
divided by the boy is taking how much time?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So I'll just leave it as 2 minutes. Okay. Power applied by girl is work done by girl
By time taken.
by time taken by the girl, which is
30 into g into h by 1.5.
1.5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's 20 kg into GH. We cancel 20 and 40. Per minute, that minute will also be there. So I'll just write it down here only, per minute. Okay.
Yes, sir.
See, because the time is same per minute, so it doesn't really matter, divided by 1 minute. And how many times this 1.5 will go with 30?
20.
20 times, exactly.
Yes, sir.
So this is kg into G
Into h. 1 minute.
1 minute. So if I take the ratio of that power by boy,
1 is to 1, I guess.
girl, we need to take just their ratio. So all of this minute, kg, G and G, everything will get cancelled. We'll get the
Answer is 1.
yeah.
1 is to 1.
You get 1:1. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
You can put a division sign here to show the difference. Okay, if required. I hope that is clear. Okay. Now see the next exercise, you have different forms of energy, mechanical energy, and then other forms of energies and interconversion between them. What I will be mostly doing with you is potential energy, kinetic energy, their definition and their understanding and their derivation. And then we will be moving on to the last part, the conservation of energy. Fine. So this is not a very long chapter. I will try to finish that whole thing in one go. In the second exercise, those other things, conversion from one unit to the other unit, I'll suggest that you try reading that yourself, and I'll be discussing your question on them after the second class. Okay, so the third time when we are just doing revision or when we are doing questions, that class I'll be just asking you question on that. So tomorrow's class will be mostly covered with all the theory portion here, the definition and understanding of potential energy, kinetic energy, and even the interconversion of this conservation of energy, the third part. We'll try to finish this part, and the major and a lot of portions are there in the second exercise, where you need to go through